guys, so this is the third chapter of the book Whisper, Awakening the Inner Reader in Every Student, and this will actually be my final discussion about this book for the class. Chapter 3 is titled There's a Time and a Place, and the author goes throughout the book explaining that the time and the place is actually now and wherever you can teach students to read. So it's very important for her to have reading in the classroom every day and to have a good amount of time for her students to read in the classroom. So chapter 3 actually answers a lot of the questions I personally had from chapter 2, which I closed out my last video with. And the questions I had were, how do you use up so much time in your class for reading when it feels like there's so many other things to do? And I know that some of you have more experience with that because you actually have been in a classroom and have a long line of teaching experience, but I haven't yet. So throughout chapter 3, she actually really does answer my question. And what she says is that basically the first little bit of class, her students are trained to come in and reading their book, but then also when you take away the interruptions and all of the things that you do in class that are just basically time wasters and fill those up with reading, that you can actually have your students reading up to 4 hours in the classroom. The recommended time for students to read, which she also mentions in the book, is 2 hours a week. And she says that it's definitely possible to get your students reading 2 hours a week in the classroom. And it still seems like a challenge to me as a teacher who's coming in, and especially as an English language arts teacher, because I do want emphasis to be on reading in the classroom, but it just does seem really challenging to do that. So I'm looking forward to reading and continuing reading the rest of her book, and hopefully I'll be able to read the sequel or the conversation she continues in her second book, because I think she answers a lot of these questions for new teachers and teachers who do have a lot of experience as well. So one of the big things, the first things that she says that really stood out to me that I highlighted was she expresses to her students that reading is not an add-on to the class, it is the cornerstone. So instead of adding in different activities and booklets and folders to create busy work for students, she always focuses on reading being the cornerstone. She says no matter what, reading is one of the most useful ways of using your time. That research has proved that students who read more do better on tests, they do better with vocabulary, they have more creativity, they can critically think better. So reading is really the most useful time of classroom experience that you can give your students. So research shows that that is true, and it's just up to teachers to be able to let go, I guess, of that control of wanting to do so much in the classroom and allowing your students the time to read, and letting go of the control of feeling like you have to cover so many things and do all of these creative folders and things like that and focus more on reading. She also said, there's another quote that I really liked, and it says, a book that she had read, the author was, his last name was Krashen, and he asserts that we are denying students access to the one activity that has been proven over and over again to increase their language acquisition and competence as communicators. Again, free voluntary reading. So that just emphasizes what I just said, that it's proven over and over again that reading helps our students more than any activity that we could really add in the classroom, that giving them free reading time helps. And the author goes through sharing her own experience of how with time, what we would normally see as interruptions or time wasters, such as she uses the example of picture day, that she has trained her students that they take their books with them to picture day and they read when it's not time for them to personally get their picture. So all of the things that we as teachers probably see as interruptions or annoying things, she has filled it with reading time. So that way her students always go back to reading, no matter what the interruption is. And I really like that because I think that a focus on that gives you a positive focus rather than being annoyed with interruptions in your class. If you look at it as reading time, then it can really help a teacher look at that positively to know that students are trained to read books. There was another thing I wanted to share that I highlighted, and I can't find it. Oh, one of the things that she says is she was talking about the use of folders filled with extension activities and practice sheets. And she said that these folders take hours and hours of her time to complete. And that she loved the folders, that they were always really pretty and things like that, but that she realized that students would rush through them just to get them done. And again, she felt like she was using it as a filler, and it had little instructional value. And one of the things she says is that she made the folders too in her early years, back when she was stuck in the mode of doing what everyone else around her did. And I highlighted that because that is really important for me to remember that I need to be focused on these positive people who are uplifting and really do focus on their students and what's best for their students. Because if you get caught up in what everyone else is doing around you, what everyone's thoughts and feelings are around you, sometimes I think it can be really, really overwhelming and overload you, especially in the education field. So I think it's really, really important that we look at, again, what is best. In this author's opinion, filling up time with reading instead of doing things just for the sake of doing them is what she sees as best. And I can definitely see where she is going with that. So again, I just hope to continue learning from her. I'm going to keep reading through the book and also read the second book because I do feel like she has such valuable advice to give to teachers about reading. She creates a really good environment for her students. She is a role model to her students, and I definitely can find a lot of examples through her that I want to add to my classroom and add to myself and practices that I do so that I can hopefully be a good model for my students as well. And that's going to take some time and practice because, like I mentioned in the second video, it can be hard to make time for reading. A lot of times I want the conditions to be all right and calm to be able to get into a book, but she definitely emphasizes in chapter 3 that the time and the place is now and in the classroom to help our students design a love for reading. And you probably have more experience with that. Just let me know your thoughts and comments about what I thought of chapter 3, and if you've read the book before and got something different out of chapter 3, please share with me what you got because I would love learning what you have learned as well. So thank you again for watching the third chapter of this video, and I appreciate you very much helping me complete this assignment. Have a great day. Bye.